event is about how to facilitate innovative startups in agribusiness. And my topic especially is IP, but some other factors to consider. And I expect that other speakers would bring that topic much further. And we are talking about startups. So what do we need to have successful startups? That's very simple. We need a candidate, you need business idea, then some tools and planning to do it, and support. When I look back to our event, we have a lot of candidates. They might have ideas. Tool and support is here. So if we meet all these criteria, it is success. But don't take it too seriously. It is not that we would like all you to start a business. Aid support has much bigger impact. You could become better employees, better consultants, experts, professionals. So not necessarily just in the role of startup. But our startups, they are mostly based on possibly radical, significant innovations. I have bad news. Not all are about crazy about buying a new product. Some products are really controversial and takes much longer time to adopt them. And for that purpose, this standard Rogers curve is not enough to comprehend that. We need this one, cumulative Rogers curve, which tells us the real money is coming much later. You have to endure in your business, and early phases could be tough ones. Let's talk about the environment we are operating in. Please try to find yourself in this 8-bullet nightmare. You had a good idea, and then your environment reacted like that. It's horrible. And I was unhappy when I found out this. I thought, oh my God, we Croatians are really bad. But guess what? It is not about Croatian. That's American. Only thing I could do to upgrade this algorithm was to add number 1. Please submit that as a written proposal, and this is designed to kill all remaining enthusiasm. But our participants are not players like that. They did not lose their enthusiasm. They would like to go further. So sense of initiative and entrepreneurship, including entrepreneurship, macroeconomics, microeconomics, management, and marketing, is important, but not enough to prevail this conservatism. You need mathematical, scientific, technological competences, especially if you are in the area of aid, food, and agribusiness. And then, in addition to that, you need digital competences, communicating in your mother tongue, foreign languages. You have to know how to learn effectively. Your social and civic competences are important, and cultural awareness. So for that reason, we have that specialist here to help us in prevailing this conservatism. And this is well defined already in 2006 by European Union, key competences for lifelong learning. Let's go further. Big trouble. Financing of innovative entrepreneurship, and this famous valley of debt. How to bridge that gap? Many people do not understand this graph, and they perceive it pretty much like this. Oh my God, this moat is really too wide, and my boards are not enough. You need some creative solutions, and you have to be aware there are some good guys ready to help you and some bad guys ready to get you. The only wisdom to recognize where those particular guys belong to. Then, if it's too complicated, don't use it. Use a simpler form. And the way you communicate is important. And then, if some complex modern solutions are necessary, you add them. But not for low-tech, simple entrepreneurs. Some things are set too simple. So you have to give more details. Again, how to distinguish those two. Yeah, that's about 15 years of experience. Seniors really do understand this issue. And then next topic, my favorite. Most of my clients, they know about patents, but they know they are expensive, they take long, they are complicated, so they don't do them. Design is cheaper, faster, not so powerful, and they don't do that much. So what they do? Oh, they do trademarks, but still making mistakes. And they think, okay, by patents, industrial design, and trademarks, we covered the territory. Oops, that's pretty much far away from the truth, because the whole playground looks like this. So to protect your IP in innovative entrepreneurs' endeavors in agribusiness and just any other business, you have to do a complex strategy using more tools than one and rely on really high-level professionals to help you with. IP is important. It's complicated. All of those instruments are developing under very different paths and rules. And definitely it is hard to be top-level professional in your field and still be excellent in other related areas such as IP. And why they do that? Well, it's a simple. There are many reasons, and they are related to development phase of the company, but definitely two reasons prevail. To secure freedom to operate when it comes to IP goals and to avoid surprises. And that's it for now. If you have IP related questions, please write them in the chat box, but let's move forward. We said not everybody is crazy about innovations. I have bad news. Not everybody is suitable for EIT or EIT support. How so? There is a certain group of people we can scout. They are there. They have appropriate technology, know how to commercialize it, but they don't have support. Ideal clients, but not many. Guys with appropriate technology, but without know-how to commercialize it and no support, require more support, but they are still eligible to do it. Then, technology is not quite yet ready to be supported, but can be upgraded. And this is our pool of clients. There are some other clients which aren't suitable or upgradable. We could only do something like European Innovation Council is doing, seal of approval, and redirect them to other programs. But next two groups are in particular interested, and I expect some input from Arijit on this. Some guys really exclude bootstrapping. And some other guys insist on bootstrapping. From the graph about financing, we know that developing high-tech, cutting-edge products or businesses requires a lot of cash and several rounds of financing. If you insist on doing that by your own funds, you probably won't get it. But if you exclude bootstrapping, that's again trouble. So, and reasons for not complying with criteria are different: technology, entrepreneurship, or just attitude. I would like to have discussion on that as well. But we are not raising just questions and identifying problems. There are a lot of solutions. This is Horizon Europe in one slide. And if you look pillar number 3, we have most of tools of pillar 3 in this Zoom webinar. European Institute of Innovation and Technology and EEN. So we could provide a lot. But let's talk about technology. When someone discusses climate-friendly farming practices in direction or transition towards sustainable agriculture, well, they love radical innovations, cutting-edge deep tech. But this is not all, and we cannot reduce greenhouse gases emission only by doing that. If we include CAP technologies, oh, we are much better. But again, agriculture is operating with live organisms and soil, which is again almost live because of its tenants. So some incremental innovations in core technologies are not nice to have, but prerequisite. And so much on supply side. But if you don't change demand side, meaning our eating habits, we won't do. And if we don't use our resources more efficiently, again, not enough. So this is matrix with 49 fields and one open. I bet I did not address everything what could bring us faster or more efficient to climate sustainable agriculture. And this is possibly your contribution. We didn't see it, but you have it. And again, 10 by 5 matrix, it's complicated, offer 50 different partial solutions. But no solution is actually, none of those 50 individual partial solution is enough. Interaction, simultaneous use of many of them simultaneously is trouble. But what you get when you have interaction, a nightmare, possibly. So this is tech side. Let's go for entrepreneurial side. Why is so messy? Why is complicated? But I will tell you, it's not complicated. There are many simple assignments that have to be done simultaneously. And what actually those blue balls represent? They represent ordinary, possibly boring, but necessary jobs that entrepreneurs have to perform almost on a daily basis. And IP is all over it. So please take care about your IP. Get support as soon as possible, not to do premature or inappropriate disclosure. And this is my last slide. No, this is slide last one before the last one. What I would use to summarize it. Actually, I deploy one small tool and produce word cloud. Keywords from all our contributions were inputted into word cloud, and we got this. And I find that extremely appropriate. 8 could help you in providing solutions for fairly complex assignment. Sustainable, resilient agriculture that offer healthy food for all of us. And so much on my behalf. Now I'm really impatient to hear Luke in Corvaia. I'm stop sharing my presentation. I'm giving floor to Luke. Before that, just one instruction for all participants. Original design is that every speaker share his screen and run the presentation himself. If you experience difficulties, the bandwidth is not right, we have time lag, we would run presentation from you from the host machine. But EU is quite good with internet, and I hope there will be no trouble with Luke's presentation. Luke, it is a great pleasure to have you. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Ivan. Thank you, Ivan. Let's start with the difficult bit then, making sure that you can see my PowerPoint presentation. Let me make it a bit bigger. Can you see it?
Yes, it's perfect.
Super. Okay, so we're already over one small barrier. Thank you very much. And I'm very grateful for the opportunity to be here with you all today. It falls on me to try to present the EIT to you, which is no small task in the few minutes I have at my disposal, but I will do my absolute utmost, and I will also try as much as possible to link up very closely with what you, Ivan, I think presented really well as an introduction to today's event. So first and foremost, who am I? My name is Luke in Corvaia. I'm a strategy officer at the EIT. What is the EIT, right? So let's go into that first, right? Before I tell you why what we do at the EIT, the European Institute of Innovation and Technology. Allow me a quick moment to explain why the EIT was set up in the first place. So starting around the 1990s, even earlier, there was this concept of the valley of death, which Ivan explained very, very well. There was this realization that while Europe had amongst the best scientists, the best research results anywhere in the world, very few of those were actually translating into products and services, companies, which would then generate the growth and jobs Europe desperately needed to remain competitive globally. And this is where the EIT comes in. This is why the EIT was exactly set up. We were set up in 2008 with the specific task of increasing Europe's innovation capacity and therefore contributing to the competitiveness and the quality of life of Europe and all our citizens. How do we do this concretely? Well, we set up long-term pan-European innovation ecosystems, partnerships between large-scale businesses, research labs, higher education institutions, and all other manner of innovation stakeholders, which we call knowledge and innovation communities, KICs. EIT Food is one of these, as I will present in a moment. Each of these partnerships tackle amongst the most pressing global societal challenges facing Europe and the world today. And all of them come with a number of unique features. They're long-term, they are independent, meaning that we run them in a truly bottom-up approach. The EIT gives strategic directions to our KICs, but it is really the KICs who decide how best to implement what they do, right? The innovator knows best principle. They also ensure that during their lifetime, which is approximately 15 years in terms of the funding they get from the European Union, from the EIT, by the end of the 15 years, they can continue to operate without the need of continued money from the EIT, right? We are also an integral part of Horizon Europe, as Ivan also well presented. We are part of Pillar 3 and therefore fully synergetic with all other pillars and instruments within the Horizon Europe framework program. So as I explained, we have these 8 KICs. We have been growing slowly since 2010 when our first KIC was launched. The EIT was launched a little bit earlier. We will also continue to grow further over the next years. That's also something I will present shortly, but I just want to highlight to you the grand spectrum by which the EIT community, as we are collectively known, cover. So I also explained that the EIT community, our EIT KICs, all do things differently, and that remains very true. However, they all undertake 3 core pillar activities. The first is entrepreneurial education. So they ensure that they spread entrepreneurship amongst the education level. How do we do this? How do they do this, rather? Well, they do this in various ways. The most well-known is they undertake EIT-labeled education courses at higher education level, at master's and postdoctoral, master's, doctoral, and postdoctoral in particular, whereby the technical aspect of the education courses is married with the entrepreneurial education, allowing our scientists to go out into the world, not only being excellent scientists, but also being entrepreneurs. Apart from this, there are lifelong learning courses, executive training, mooches, and all other manner of entrepreneurial educational activities. We also fund innovation projects. Through these innovation projects, we try to bring research results and turn them into products and services. We don't fund research ourselves. Horizon Europe does that. But we try to commercialize the results of those research in order to bring to the market products and services which will create jobs, which will improve the quality of life of our citizens. And last but not least, we support startups, we support scale-ups. We do this through provision of funding. We introduce them to venture capitalists. We provide them with with mentoring and all other manner of support in the very same lines as Ivan very well mentioned. So to put it very, very briefly, I'll pick up on the text you see at the very end. The EIT turns students into entrepreneurs. We turn ideas into products, into services, and we take lab results and into products and services to the customer. So what have we achieved so far? From the latest figures we have, we are now spread well across Europe with 64 innovation hubs, literally in every single EU member state. We are today Europe's, if not the world's, largest innovation network with over 2,900 partners. We have supported 3,000 ventures. Those 3,000 ventures have created 13,000 jobs. They've brought over 1,400 products and services to the market, and really impressively, in my opinion, raised 3.9 billion euros in terms of investment. So if you have to look into how much money the EIT has put into venture support and how much those ventures have actually leveraged back, one would come to something around €1 to 17, which I think is truly impressive and I think pretty unique in anything the European Union runs in terms of venture support. So I think the EIT has been truly successful in the sense. But have we been successful enough? The absolute clear answer is no. The European Union remains very much divided along east-west, north-south lines in terms of innovation capacity. A great number of countries in Europe remain moderate and modest innovators, and those are particularly located, as I explained, in the south of Europe and in the east of Europe. So this is also something the EIT is trying to tackle. We want to ensure that Europe is, as much as possible, equally strong in terms of innovation capacity. We don't want to leave anyone behind. No country, no region should be left behind. And we do this, we try to do this through our EIT Regional Innovation Scheme, which is under which EIT Food has launched the hub through TERA Tehnopolis in Croatia. So the EIT risk, as I said, targets moderate and modest innovators according to the European Innovation Scoreboard. We do this by launching hubs across of Europe, and in the map there you can see all the dots. Those are hubs we have in the targeted countries. Apart from those, we also have 12 co-location centers, which are then run directly by the EIT KICs. They are not actually marked on this map. So how do we do it? So we share good practices in terms of knowledge triangle integration, bringing research, business, and innovators together, right? And education, I apologize. We also widen participation. So we want our hubs to be a gateway into the activities of the EIT community. We want more participants from the countries marked in green to participate in the EIT. So far, the level of participation there remains below potential. And we also implement synergies with smart specialization strategies. I think in the 7 years so far, we have been running the EIT risk, we have been extremely successful. With just 4% of the EIT budget going to the EIT risk, we have seen the participation from these countries increase by a magnitude of about hundreds of percentages. I actually don't have the exact figures in front of me because, to be honest, I don't have the whole 7 years, but we are looking at a very, very, very good results. And we really aim to scale up and increase this over the next years. Of course, not everything is working. This is why we're going to improve things even more over the next years. Let's talk about next years now. And I know I'm slightly running out of time, but I'll try to be as quick as I can. So between 2021 and 2027, the EIT will have three overarching priorities, fully, of course, aligned with Horizon Europe. Firstly, we will be launching 2 new KICs, one in the area of culture and creative industries next year, and another one in the area of water in 2026. I know Croatia has a strong maritime economy, and I think this would be something which will also be very, very interesting to Croatian stakeholders, as of course is culture and creative industries. We will also be launching a new initiative to support higher education institutions across Europe. I have a slide on this, which I will present in a moment, and we'll increase the strength of the EIT risk. So we will increase our regional impact. I also have a slide on this. Let's start with the first one. How will we increase our regional impact in the next 7 years? Firstly, we'll make the EIT risk mandatory and an integral part of everything that we do. In other words, it will no longer be an outreach activity, but we want to bring in participants into the core activities of what we do. We'll continue to support moderate and more modest innovation countries and regions, and also target the EU outermost regions. We will continue to support the innovation capacity of local ecosystems, and as I said, attract new partners, including through the establishment of additional risk hubs across Europe. We'll also work towards attracting private and public funding, particularly through the European Region and Investment Funds, and strengthen linkages with the smart specialization strategies. This is a key role for our risk hubs. Okay, so the risk hubs play a key role in all of this, in linking us with the local innovation ecosystems, in attracting new partners, in helping us to link up with national governments, regional authorities, cities, in order to be able to implement synergies, including with European European structure and investment funds. I apologize. I also talked about this instrument whereby we will be supporting the innovation and entrepreneurial capacity of higher education institutions. Not only will we be supporting them through funding, expertise, and coaching for them to become more innovative and entrepreneurial, but we will give them the necessary support in order for them to teach, right, others how to be more innovative and entrepreneurial. We launched our first call in May. That first call is now closed and being implemented. The next call is scheduled to be launched in November 2021. So please stay tuned for those of you who are interested, and please do join us in this really exciting and strong new initiative which we are running. Okay, so I'm coming to the end of my presentation here. Again, I apologize for being slightly long, but I want to highlight that whoever you are, whether a business, university student, entrepreneur, researcher, or public authority, there is something for you to do with us. Please join us. Find out more about what we're doing on our website. We have an opportunities page. One of the first things which you will see as soon as you go there is an opportunity for customer labs, which EIT Food is running to its risk program. So truly, there are things being put there all the time, very relevant stuff for everyone. So please do join us, and I hope you found that interesting. And I hope this has been a good introduction to what now my EIT Food colleague will present, and links up very well. So thank you, Evan, for the opportunity.
Thank you so much, Luke. I have one question to Arijit for the panel. It is impressive EU support infrastructure in the European Union. I'm just interested to know if he wished to have or had some of those supporting instruments while starting his first business, but we shall wait for the panel and to get that answer. Thank you so much. And it is great pleasure to introduce our next speaker, Alexandra Nizinska of EIT Food, with interesting topic. Alexandra, the floor is all yours.
Thank you, Ivan. Thanks a lot for having me, and thanks a lot to Luke for indeed providing a very good introduction to EIT, which I hope makes my job much easier to explain how EIT Food operates. But in fact, I'm really happy that today I can bring a bit different angle to the topic on the diversity in agri-food and inclusivity of the future of food. I feel it's really in the spirit of this event today, where we have the cross-KIC and cross-geographic approach, and this diversity of different partners that came up and created such a great event is also a part of the diversity that we want to boost. So without further ado, a short guide to EIT Food. Indeed, we are part of a bigger EIT community, as Luke has been so nicely introducing before. And we are operating in the European Union and beyond with our 5 offices. One of them is based in Warsaw, where I'm working with my colleagues on the EIT food activities up from the Nordic countries to the Balkans. So we have a quite large geographical scope and a lot of activities happening. Therefore, we could not be able to deploy them without our trusted partners, both the EIT Food Hubs, but also the consortium partners of our network, because in EIT Food, we work in the model of the consortium of industry partners, research centers and universities. An important part of our network are also startups, and all these institutions, again, they are very diverse because they are representing different elements of the food value chain, from the primary production up to the retail and HoReCa sector. But also the diversity comes from the fact that we have on board scientists, people that are very much focused on the academic results and research, and also business partners. And this is why our innovations, the innovations that we support, are not only evidence-based and they're of the top-notch technological quality, but they are also very much relevant for the market, and they address the real consumer needs. And I think that this consumer centricity that is a core value of EIT Food is also making us very unique in the sense that all the projects that we do need to be really addressing citizens and European consumers, so that everyone can, as you say, enjoy sustainable, safe and healthy food from farm to fork, meaning, as said, that we are really tackling the whole spectrum of the value chain. And the question is how to build this fairness and trust in our food system and agri-food innovations. Obviously, in order to make sure that our new product services will be applied by the consumers, by the citizens, we have to bring them into the co-creation process. And one of the projects that we do in RIS is a consumer engagement labs, and it's a very successful project in which we engage senior consumers to co-create food products that will be both attractive and very tasty, but also that they will address the needs of senior consumers in terms of texture, structure, etc. So really want those innovations that we support to be addressing different target groups and different consumers. And to do so, we need to ensure the active involvement of many different people interested in creation of innovations and enterprises. There is a certain type of people that we can meet in the startup conferences. They're usually men and usually very, very confident. And we admire that. And we also support of course, those kind of initiatives, but we want everyone else who's maybe not at that stage of the self-confidence or at that stage of business maturity, but they have a great innovative idea that can transform our food system. We also want to give them opportunities to take part in this big transformation that is ahead of us in terms of the climate change, in terms of the SDG goals, in terms of the COVID-19 pandemic, which is also a great challenge that can bring some opportunities. And last but not least, in order to make sure that our food system is trusted, we need to engage citizens and consumers by informing them about the whole value chain, but also getting feedback from them on the products and services. And our society is very diverse. Everyone consumes food. This is something that we do every day, regardless of our age, whether we're 10 or 70, whether we're a woman, man, or non-binary, whether we come from a rural area or a big city. We all need to eat. And when we think about the food system, we need to address all these different types of needs that come with that. So how we do that in EIT Food? Firstly, we, as said, we are evidence-based organization, so we always try to have a good data behind our projects, and this is the data from the recent EIT Food Female Entrepreneurship Survey that has been done this year on the our alumni of the business creation program, women that were startup founders and took part in our programs. We had almost 50 respondents in the quantitative survey and 25 participants of the focus groups. And out of that, we see that still 75% of them have experienced negative gender bias while trying to seek for funding, but they also believe, 2/3 of them, that there is untapped power to reduce negative gender bias among men who can act upon it more. And maybe this is actually a good insight in terms of making or organizing some projects on how to engage more men in this area. But for now, we are organizing projects for women. And the first one I'd like to show you is the We Lead Food program. That is supporting early and mid-career researchers and professionals that are willing to grow their career in agri-food, and they're looking for similarly open-minded women who would like to drive change in this sector. And through this program, they are getting more empowerment and leadership skills in order to be really drivers of change. If you want to learn more about the program, there's today a webinar specifically about We Lead. So I can share with you the link later. As for risk programs that are also, the We Lead is also a risk program, but it tackles the professionals that are working in the corporates. In terms of empowering female entrepreneurs, we have another program, Empowering Women in Agri-Food. It's very close to my heart because I'm coordinating it in our geographical area. In 2021, we support 80 female entrepreneurs who go through a very holistic process. Well, I would say it's a 360-degree support process, from mentoring through online training, networking, but also finding funding opportunities for their innovative ideas to grow. And what is very unique about it is that we run it in a local language, because we find that sometimes this English language barrier, especially for the very early stage startups, can be a big challenge. And we want to show EIT and EIT Food to those who are not really super confident about their English language skills, and maybe to encourage them to develop them in order to get further to other EIT and EIT Food programs. And if you want to learn more about this particular program, there will be a big EVA online networking event taking place on 9th of December. So stay tuned around this. And last but not least, we don't have only programs that are tackling specifically women, but we understand that there is a very important gap also in terms of other groups that are not necessarily the usual suspects when you think about startup founders. And the EIT Food Changemakers program was a program which helped individuals from underrepresented groups to get access to our opportunities that we have in EIT Food for entrepreneurs, and to get this sense of belonging to this community, despite of the factors that are usually not so much connected with the entrepreneurship. So why we do this all? Why we really invest our energy to ensure diversity in creating agri-food innovations? First of all, our innovations need to have market uptake, because creating new technology for the sake of the new technology doesn't make sense. And those innovations must be accepted by consumers, I already said. So at the level of creating them, we need to get feedback from different type of groups and consumers. On the other hand, we have these out-of-the-box thinking element. If we are working in the same group of people that have similar backgrounds and similar culture they're coming from, it is harder to go out of your comfort zone and think out of the box. And we know that, as Ivan also said at the beginning, this is the moment when we really can create change and those breaking innovations. And something that I feel is very important at the moment in terms of our climate crisis is the fact that usually those who are much more progressive in terms of taking decisions, robust decisions on sustainability, are women. And those climate smart agriculture practices are very often run and driven by female farmers. Also at the political level, those kind of decisions are more often taken by gender balanced parliaments. So I really feel that improving gender balance in that sense will help us to be more sustainable. And yes, without further ado, I'd like to finish with one of the proverbs that I really like, and it's a founding one for our EIT Food Network, and I really feel it very well fits the concept of this event, but also the concept of my presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Alexandra. Female entrepreneurship is a very special topic. There are very few countries in the world where female entrepreneurs prevail over males. There are obviously some strong reasons for that, but in the end, there are no real reason why that cannot be changed for better. I'm looking forward for our panel and see some discussion on that matter. And it is great pleasure to introduce our next speaker. I'm not sure he needs a presentation. He's very persuasive even without audio video support, but he might surprise us. We don't know that. Arijit, your location is by far the farthest from all of us. I guess it's already some afternoon at your place. What to tell? My dear friend, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much for the lovely introduction. Yes, I'm from India and this is like 2:50 p.m. and I would love to give all of you a warm greetings, because in India, actually in my place, in my state itself, as a Bengali culture, we are celebrating one of the biggest festival called Durga Puja. And that's a festival where the divine goddess brings all the prosperity, all the happiness, all those kind of food and money and everything. And what is the best platform? The platform is this, wherein probably I have got an amazing opportunity to speak and share something related to entrepreneurship. So let me tell you what I feel as a entrepreneurship, or whom I call as entrepreneur. Probably I'll use a few bit of metaphor, and I'll be trying to cover a few bit of different technology which is happening in agriculture. We call it as agri-tech. Entrepreneurship for me is basically riding a tiger. So it's like when it's a cub, you just adopt it, you try to feed it with milk. Eventually, it grows big, and you expect that you can ride on the top of it. Whoever started their venture, they're taking that risk. They start with a lot of passion, a lot of love, and eventually there is a risk. If they stop, probably the business will stop. Entrepreneurs are such kind of people, a kind of breed who are risk takers. For them, pumping up something which is raw meat is necessary. And meat here is money. So sometimes as an entrepreneur, as a startup, we need to understand that whether we'll be raising first the seed capital or whether we should go for the market first. I usually prefer, that's my personal choice, I usually prefer to go with the customer and consumer. A lot of people usually ask me that what is the basic thing needed to start your own business. Few people say it's the idea, but I say that you need a customer to start your business. If you have a customer, eventually you will have a business plan, a structure, and you will work on a very specific kind of target, how to increase your consumer base. In due course of time, by increasing the customer base, probably for growth, you need capital. And that capital is needed in some stages where probably you are looking for market expansion, sometimes your team expansion, sometimes going for your intellectual property rights, sometimes legal fees, couple of times maybe the working capital. So this is a never-ending process. And in this never-ending process, honestly speaking, the country I'm coming from, probably we are coming from a very deep culture of Ayurveda, but somehow we lost the path. And if you look at Indian food industry at the moment, we are utilizing a lot of pesticides into our food. So our foods are more and more becoming unhealthy for humankind. But somehow in India for the last 3 years, we are listening and hearing a lot of buzzword about food without pesticide. We call it as organic food. In this organic food sector, I have been watching and communicating with a lot of startups, various different parts of the world, mainly from Africa and of course from Australian region. All of these people, they are trying to produce a very specific organic food with a proper procurement. And what I firmly believe, if we look at example, countries like Israel, they have done amazing work in terms of agriculture. They did a revolution. And those kind of structures are right now happening probably in various different parts of the world. When we talk about packaging, when we talk about integrating the technology, I'm sure all of us know it, but I'm trying to give you a few bit of latest generation technology which has been probably impacted a lot in terms of good agri-food production. Blockchain is playing a lot of different disruption in this sector. What's going on? We are going for smart contracts. We are going for optimization techniques. People are going for mainly the farms. They are going for optimized smart contract to do the exact procurement process in a very smooth and faster. Not only that, we have been watching implementation of artificial intelligence, machine learning, and robotics in terms of agricultural revolution. There are startups who are coming up with solutions. Few of them are coming up with solutions wherein they can calculate the land properly. There are devices which has been evolving without utilizing any kind of petrol. They are using solar power to go for farming. There are systems which has been evolved in due course of time where a farmer don't need to go for manual process. They can utilize small hovercraft planes which can be used for smart farming. The concept of smart farming is evolving day in and day out, and we can see this in various parts of Asia. Japan is one of the examples. We can go with those kind of examples in China, in Taiwan, Hong Kong, Vietnam. Those things are evolving day in and day out like anything. And when I touch upon such kind of technological innovation, of course, people are looking for money, people are looking for expansion, they are looking for growth funds. So there are venture capital funds who are now targeting these kind of sustainable development, and they have specific set rules, set funds for such kind of development. I know a couple of them who are actually targeting their funds only for sustainable development, and agriculture plays a very vital role into this. So probably we can see a lot of startups from Croatia or various different parts of Europe. And I admire my friend that probably he gave me a chance to share those aspects in front of you. There are specific 5 different funds. One of them started from US, 2 of them are basically from Middle East, and one of them is started from Australia, and one of them started from India itself. These funds are right now looking for disruptive technology, which can probably enable humankind, or rather I would say farmers, to go for a smart farming. So I'll be more than happy if you or someone, some startup needs some kind of connectivity or some kind of help. We can always go for a talk, discuss, and take these things forward. I hope that I didn't took a lot of your time and managed to finish my speech within my time.
Microphone.
Sorry, I wasn't unmuted. Thank you very much for your discussion. I'm really looking forward to our panel discussion because viewpoint of serial entrepreneur could be considerably different from a guy who is doing that from the first time. Every obstacle is so big. You don't know what to do, but if you are a serial entrepreneur, oh my God, you know all those tiny tricks you should do, and it's done. And let's switch to our last speaker in the first block, Mr. Matthias Zsul. He is the entrepreneur who actually done something very particular in digitalizing agriculture. Mattia, it is great pleasure to have you on board, and please, it's your time. The floor is yours.
Ivan, for inviting me. Hello, everybody. It's really nice to be here with you. I will share a screen to show you the presentation and to shortly explain who we are and what we do in digitalizing the food and agriculture industry. So let me just share the screen. And if you can please confirm that you see it.
Yes, it's in presentation mode. All fine.
Perfect. Thank you. So at Agribi, we are focused on changing the way food is produced, positively impacting over 1 billion people. And this is our vision of the company that was set in 2013 when we founded the company. And we do that by empowering farmers and agri-food companies along the value chain to produce healthy, nutritious, and sustainably grown food by using digital agriculture solutions. So in a nutshell, our core product is a farm management platform. And as you can imagine that in agri-tech currently there is a lot of different technologies. And if you're a farmer, then the question is, okay, do I need to log into 10 different systems a day to access my data? Or is there any central platform where I can see all of my data on one place and manage all of my processes on one place? And this is the role of farm management system, and this is what we are doing. So we are bringing on one central place all the agricultural data of a farm, and we are enabling farmers to make smart decisions, to produce better, and in the end to ensure all the traceability, be compliant with legislative, etc. So the key benefits are access to best practice knowledge, real-time field insights. We see farmers increasing yields up to 30%, which brings great profitability improvement, and by improving their quality and ensuring traceability, they can find buyers that appreciate that and are willing to pay premium price for traceability. Today, as a company, we work in over 100 countries worldwide. So internally in the company, we are always kidding that wherever some plant grows, we have a farmer there who uses our technology. So it is something like that. And today we work with the biggest companies that are along the value chain in food and agriculture. And let me share you a few examples, actually, how they benefit from our product overall. So Driscoll's is one of the biggest customers we have, and they are the biggest global berry grower. So they control 1/3 of US market in berries, and you can find their berries often in supermarkets across the world. So Driscoll's has 25 R&D farms that are located in 8 countries: US, Mexico, Spain, Portugal, Algeria, Morocco, etc. And they had strong challenge about because all of their farms had completely different technology stacks. Some had been using some custom built solution to track their processes. Some were using the spreadsheets, and some were still on pen and paper. So what they wanted to do, they wanted to standardize the entire global operations on their farms. And they were looking for one central platform that can be delivered to all farms in their local language, and that them as headquarters can manage all the activities in English language. And we did that. So we today all the Driscoll's farms, their R&D farms are using our product to manage very complex R&D farming process where they are breeding over 1,000 varieties each year. So they track everything, every single aspect of the production to understand which varieties will be pushed to the market. The second example is something that that will be more easier to understand to majority of people, and this is about baby food. So we work with Nestle and their baby food factory, where they source crops like apples, pears, carrots, and different fruit and vegetable from farms. And for when it comes to baby food, food safety needs to be on the highest level. So what we do with them is they bring our technology to all the farms to be sure that they are minimizing any kind of pesticide usage throughout the process, and that everything is done completely by the book, I would say. So with Nestle, we ensure that they don't experience situations when they need to recall the product from the market because there is some residue of pesticides there. And we can see today on the market a lot of products are being recalled, and that is one of the biggest issues in food safety today. So we support Nestle in solving that challenge. The other example is a company that produces sweet corn in a can. And again, this is connected. The challenge that they had is to make sure that they have the premium sweet corn in a can. The corn needs to be finalized completely in 4 hours. So to do that, so from harvester to the can only 4 hours. It's a very short time, and they are doing the quality control later on. So if they find that there is still pesticide residues because farmers were harvesting before the waiting period expired, then the entire yield from field is being wasted. And we help them actually to mitigate that. So we give them that dashboard. Green field is safe to harvest today, red field is not safe to harvest today. And we reduce that food waste, and we reduce financial losses to them. So this is additional example. And the last example that I would like to do is cooperation with, for example, BASF, who is big seed and chemical company. And they try to provide agronomic services to farmers to support them in making decisions. So they bring our solution to farms. So usually one agronomist visits a farm every 2 weeks and provides additional advice. And what they do is, so with our product, they can see exactly what farms have been doing, what are weather conditions on the field, how the biomass progressed over the period, and in the end, they are able to make much better agronomic advice that they provide to farmers. And all of that results in better relationships with farms, more trust, and in the end, BASF is benefiting by selling more of their core products, because then farmers are trusting them, and in the end they are being the only vendor, so not just one of the vendors. So this is how it works. Overall, as a company today, for us, doing global impact is very important. And with our activities on farms along the value chain, we are overall impacting 12 sustainable development goals, and we are very proud of that. And what is very important, that digitalizing agriculture is a big task, and it cannot be done alone. And we are today partnering with universities, with a lot of technology partners. And I invite all of you that are here to really let's examine how we can build a sustainable future together. So I hope you got a better understanding of what we do and how we are digitalizing agriculture. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Matija, for your presentation. Since you are the last speaker in the first block, and you won't join us for a panel, Mr. Anita would fill in on behalf of Agrivi in the panel. I have just one question. It is remarkable what you do in digitalizing agriculture. But could you tell us how frequently those digital enhancements are accompanied by conservation tillage? Because this is kind of weak spot. You know, you could have fully digitalized agriculture and tillage, which is not sustainable and actually could cause horrible soil loss to the wind erosion or degradation of the soil, water management is inefficient, and many other things. So how frequently your clients are implementing systemic solution, combining innovation in core agri technologies with digital solutions?
This is a really great question, Ivan, and that's why I believe that the key component is collaboration with the value chain, because all of the big companies that are in food and agriculture have their sustainability agendas and are trying to bring to all of their vendors, so farms that supply them, completely new programs, whether it is a carbon sequestration program or this is some different programs, but it's always currently they're trying to bring in practices and motivate all the farms that they work with to adopt sustainable agriculture practices, and reduce tillage is definitely one of those, but alongside with a lot of other agronomy practices. So on our side, we can see that this is really growing trend. We don't see farms by themselves just doing that so self-driven. But when this is in combination with some, whether this is agronomic advisory consults them, or this is food company that buys from them and wants to have sustainable supply chain completely, then we see that it increases the pace.
Thank you so much. And we will definitely have more events like this one. And you're all welcome to join us again with new aspects, new information, new program.
Thank you.
Let's go back to our housekeeping rules. Guys, believe it or not, we are 5 minutes ahead of our schedule. I propose we go for a break, 10-minute break, and reconvene in 11:50. Is that fine with all other speakers from the second block of presentation? It is important to know, do they concur with shifting our schedule ahead? Yes, Evka, Anna, Miljenko.
I'm fine.
You're fine, great. I guess Anna and Luca from TERA are also fine.
Yes, it's okay.
Victoria, how about you?
For me, it's okay as well.
Perfect. Augustas, are you with us? Is this change okay with you? Okay, we will assume Augustas is fine with this change because he's not the first in line, so he would have time to adjust his schedule. Thank you so much. Have a great break, and please do not disconnect. Just mute the camera and microphone and come back in 10 minutes. First of presenter in second block is Ms. Eka Heder, former head of C-Cell in Zagreb, person with deep entrepreneurial and educational background, dear friend and interesting speaker. Efka, we are all looking forward to see what's going on with ALED, your new assignment, and the role of vocational and educational training in supporting not just agribusinesses, but all possible entrepreneurs. Efka, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Ivan. Hello, world. Welcome from Pristina, and greetings from Pristina, which is rainy today. I'm just sharing my presentation now with you. I hope you can see. Is it in the share mode? Yes. So, dear Ivan, dear TERA Tehnopolis team, thank you for giving an opportunity to share with you and all the respective audience our approach to transfer EU policies and what is written in the paper into policy application here in Kosovo. And the focus is on how actually, what is the role of VET contributing to innovative entrepreneurship ecosystem building with special focus on agribusiness. So we are all aware that if we want to transfer the policies, first we need to be aware of the conditions in the environment. So we are talking about Kosovo with a significant amount of agricultural land, where the majority of the population is living in the rural areas, and the total employment related to the agriculture is significant one, 25% of total employment, but the characteristic of agriculture sector here in Kosovo related to the latest data from the report issued end of 2019 is that is very disaggregated structure with 99 small farms, still existing problems of being registered or not being registered. The productivity is low, the efficiency is low, and poor infrastructure, and the majority of food is imported. The characteristics of agricultural sector is a huge lack of competent education and training, up-to-date education and training, very limited usage of technology and advisory services, and lack of cooperation when we talk about cooperatives, clustering, and what is very important for Kosovo, being aware of the factors in environment which are huge polluters, also the environmental aspect of the competence. We are in the country with which is the youngest population in Europe, with a huge, significant youth unemployment. So you have the data on the screen, and the reality on the job market is that there is a deficit of the job offers. So what we need to do? Let's create jobs. Also being aware of the fact that the uncertainty is a huge factor, and uncertainty can be seen also with the nature of the employment contract. So unstable conditions related to the permanent versus temporary contracts in reality for the overall market. So the intervention is within the EU-funded project, IPA 2018, and the preconditions for setting the ground for the project is to support VET excellency in 4 sectors, which are defined within the Kosovo frame of smart specialization strategy and economic development strategy as the one contributing to the country's economic development, which are agriculture, food processing, mechanical engineering, and energy production and energy supply. So the intervention, if you're serious with the intervention, then it must be multi-layer, including national level, local level, and school level, so practitioner level. And these are the key elements in building smart governance. When we talk about VET agri schools or schools for agriculture, we also need to be aware that we can talk about the importance, but at the end of the day, reality is what is matter, and the attractiveness of the VET schools for new students incoming is the last one on the scale of attractiveness among all VET schools. And they're not to be blamed. So it's on us to do something and increase also the attractiveness and the quality of these schools. So the decision of the team is that the first precondition that for system evolution, the critical mass is needed. So the critical mass to be created through the setting the ground of the key principles. And I would just like to draw your attention that based on the latest EU policy documents, for us, economy, education, structured cooperation is must. Build on domestic capacities. When we talk about STEM sector, we added through 2 E's. It's not just engineering. There are additional 2 E's which are must to be included in the whole system solution, which is entrepreneurship and environment. So all of these things are preconditions for the smart governance. And not to be forgotten, we need to come out of silos when we talk about education and training, because usually in our heads, we have this division: primary, secondary, vet, higher education. Future, and what we learn, not just from Corona, but with all latest development, world of learning must be connected and interlinked. And one of the key principles for us is also to create these vertical and horizontal linkages between vet and higher education. All of that with a clear goal to contributing entrepreneurial ecosystem. So critical mass, the intervention is covering 30% of the vet schools, where 40% of these schools have agricultural related programs. It's located in the 50% of the territory of Kosovo, and also reflecting adult learning through the VTCs, vocational training centers. So 50% of vocational training centers to be included in the intervention, and not to be forgotten, the 4 sectors relevant faculties to be integral part of every activity. And then we find out if we want to make some evidence-based policy making, then data is needed. And digitalization, Industry 4.0 tools must be applied for the smart governance. So we developed what we call 3 barometers. We need to be aware what is in the so-called production. So what is in the schools today, because this is our data about supply. Then we need to know also what are the future needs. So what is the demand? What Kosovo agriculture sector for the development and to apply or implement innovative approaches needs. Very aware that Kosovo is following economy, not the lead economy, but still we cannot just blindly apply the data from other countries. So we need to wear the shoes which are fitting us, not the shoes which are hurting us. And then we also need to be aware what is the inventory, what is currently going on in the market. So the 3rd barometer is Kosovo labor market barometer, which is actually showing us the balance where we are. So for the first time in Kosovo, this approach of interoperability of data, Internet of Things, the initial ideas were applied. And Kosovo labor barometer available for all of you to use the data aggregated through the Kosovo labor market barometer with the interoperability of 12 different national databases is available for your usage. But then let's move further. When we talk about VET or TVET, no matter which vocabulary we are using, we know what we're talking about. I am not supporter of the revolution because I am old enough that my memory is long. So let's say, I will not say I'm old, but some wisdom is collected through the years. I always like to talk about the evolution, and evolution to go through the certain shifts and improvements. So not just pro verba, but with the full application with 20 schools, school business structured cooperation must be treated as a must. There is no more excuses, oh, they don't understand us, we education know more, or the businesses are not ready to talk with us. Yes, they are. We just need to know how to approach them, because sometimes we are keen to say, oh, businesses don't care. This is not true. Businesses cares very much, and they're delivering on every day their duties. They're ensuring their workers' salaries, they are paying taxes, and they are operating on the market. So if we want that they give us more, we need to respect them, and we need to listen. Our ears must be open for that, what they're sharing with us. There is the latest trend talking about VET Excellency, Center of Vocational Excellency. We strongly believe there is no excellency in VET without EU Digital Competence Framework 2.0 and EU Entrepreneurship Competence Framework defined as a key competence, strongly integrated in every atom, every second of school or learning institution life. It must be integrated everywhere, and it must be treated horizontally and cross-curricularly. Also, allow me to reflect on the Think Green principle, because sometimes we are forgetting, without knowing what EU Intercomp is offering, that significant part of EU Intercomp domain is dedicated with the learning outcomes defined for environmental concerns and the Think Green economy principles included. There is no center of vocational excellence without these two competence frameworks being included in every provision for the learning outcome of the student. So it must be integrated on the level of curriculum, of the level of the assessment, of the level of the provision. Then, of course, we need to be aware that we cannot just put that back on the teacher's back and say, okay, you need to deliver on that. No, we need to dedicate significant resources to equip teachers to fully understand the European Digital Competence Framework and EU Entrepreneurship Competence Framework. Then the third layer is institution. There is a need. It's already for a long time going in the literature, the term about open learning environment, but still it's not happening. So now there is no excuse. With all the recent history and still going on, the corona reality, institutions must shift towards the open learning environment. They must start to promote learning, not just as an enclosed environment, but they need to start to act as the lighthouses and nests of digital literacy and entrepreneurial way of thinking. All this, not to be forgotten, maybe sounds like what she's talking about, it's a normal thing, but multi-layer quality assurance must be applied. Quality assurance on the level of the student, of the level of the teacher, of the level of the institution, on the level of the policies, with the reflection for improvement to feed regular policies for their implementation. And then we challenged ourselves again, and we said, we need to stop this mantra talking about, oh, VET is a second choice. How are we expecting that the students will, with enthusiasm, apply to the VET schools if the first information we are gossiping about is VET is a second choice? So we need to make this shift in our heads, and the VET schools must become nests, lighthouses of digital excellency. So digital transformation, I know, I'm aware, it's very important that we talk about digital transformation on the higher level and telecoms, but the future will not be bright if we forget to include schools immediately with the full power, with all elements through the digital transformation processes. So we challenged ourselves and we pushed for augmented reality tools, Classroom 3.0, Classroom 4.0 to be included in the schools. Why? We have the young population, the youngest population here in Kosovo. Just some facts to be shared with you. There is no printed newsletter in Kosovo. Everything is digital. Out of 1.8 million population in Kosovo, there is 1.6 million unique Facebook users. It went out, it was pushed by necessity because of the different conditions, but now this is reality. So we have the young population, which is equal the low resistance factor towards the usage of digital tools. And our commitment and our motto is that we contribute to the transferring the wet classical schools towards the lighthouses nest of digital literacy and entrepreneurial way of thinking. And that actually we also add to the wet agri schools the component of the students incubators. I know you will say, but this sounds familiar. Okay, sounds familiar, but then we need to be aware, where is the problem with the youth entrepreneurship? The problem is collateral. And the ownership of the land here in Kosovo is still in the hands of seniors. And we are working also with the government on modality and policy solution where with the equipping the young people with the all possible skills and competences and knowledge that they are ready for the transfer also of land towards the young generation and full responsibility for the implementation. And then we strongly believe innovation will start to happen. And in this respect, like to promote Think to Act entrepreneurial society, we also for the first time translated the EU key competence framework for entrepreneurship in Albanian and in Serbian. So it's available online, free, please, feel free to use that. Public money support that for the public usage. Also, we created, I know it's familiar to all of you in respective developed countries, but here we said, let's be pushed for the EduNet, so the community of practice among practitioners. Let's we count on the peer support, peer review, peer learning, peer sharing of knowledge, and support each other in our insecurity to use innovative tools. And this is what we also created, trying to support individually teachers, but also schools, school management, municipal education directorates, and the minister. And here I need to say kudos to the Ministry of Education in Kosovo, with ready to take challenges and make innovative step forward. But it's not everything bright. We need to be aware that some preconditions are needed. We can, sorry to use this vocabulary, blah, blah, about Industry 4.0, about internet, about innovative tools. But if we don't have, I'm calling them internet highways, stable electricity supply, it's no go. If we don't change our mantra that mobile phones are forbidden to be in schools, and we lock them, then we're killing all the innovativeness and all the good capacities of excellent digital era in which we are now living. So we need to shift this mantra, because mobile phones also become the source of learning. Being aware that the structure in Kosovo among youth having the computers, each of them PCs, is not so bright. But when we compare that with the data having mobile phones, age cohort 13 to 16, that more than 80% of them, they have mobile phones. So this is our resource which need to be used. And then we're living in the era where global village become reality. So village is usually connected to agriculture. So village with the small v need to be shifted to the approach of the global village, and what was far, now it's near. And not to be forgotten, for the first time in Kosovo, and I would like strongly to thank here TERA Tehnopolis being open for knowledge sharing, for experience sharing, and allow me to say kudos here to TERA Tehnopolis and Professor Stefanic, helping us in establishing for the first time cluster hub in Kosovo with a clear role how higher education can contribute to the excellency in VET, to contribute to the innovative approaches and innovative solutions, and vice versa. The name of the cluster hub is UPCOM. It's just a baby, institutional baby. We are just in process of registration because the Establishment Act is signed between University of Pristina, City of Pristina, Kosovo Chamber of Commerce, dedicated to cooperate together with a higher goal. And there is a strong interest for the cluster hub to open the door, to knock on the door of the possibilities to learn from EIT, from EIT kits, and to establish the cooperation with TERA Tehnopolis. So maybe later in the panel for Kosovo participants here on this presentation would be very interesting to see what are the perspectives related to the regional innovation schemes and the programs of EIT. And at the end, when the right people getting together, challenges become opportunities for the bright future, which is actually sitting in our schools today. Dear audience, dear TERA Tehnopolis team, dear Ivan, thank you very much for your attention and given opportunity.
Microphone.
Still nothing. Thank you, Evka. And what to tell, when you describe the situation, it sounds serious. But I bet there are people, they would say, oh, we wish we have that problem. Young and unemployed, because our situation is, our agriculture is growing old. There is no one to take over the farm in the next generation. We are simply missing labor force. But I'm looking forward to the panel. Stay with us. We will have a good discussion. And now, our next speaker, Luka Rajcic, on behalf of TERA team. And he will talk about actual synergy and networking. EIT Food is a huge network, but EIN, digital innovation hubs, a network of those, they are existing in the same time, and to produce synergy is important. Luka, we are curious to find out about possible cooperation with digital innovation hub networks.
Thank you, Ivan. A warm welcome to everyone of the attendees, of the speakers. It's going to be a pleasure for me to have this 10-minute walk through the role of DICS in how to facilitate innovative startups in the agribusiness. Well, my presentations have a kind of a two-part. The first part will be kind of providing a general overview on the current status of the digital innovation hubs, more precisely building upon the last 2 years again during the operation of digital innovation hubs and its ongoing perspectives. Yeah? With a special focus on the agri-food sector. So my role in TERA Tehnopolis is also, besides kind of project concepting and pushing for projects according to TERA portfolio, is also starting or restarting or pushing up for the activities of the Digital Innovation Hub TERA. So let's see. Okay. I mean, we are all aware that the crisis made it very clear that we need to invest further in digitalization. So, I mean, over the last 2 years, Europe has faced one of the greatest challenges ever. I mean, however, the economic impact and of the confinement would have been much worse if it had not been the digital technology, which allowed, in a way, many people to work from home. You know? Indeed, while many parts of the economy were shut down, some other parts continued to operate or thrived even. So as a kind of a rule of thumb, the more digital a business was before the pandemic struck, the better it prevailed afterwards. There's an unprecedented amounts of funding that are rolling and ongoing with the ongoing future. In terms of, remember the REACT EU, now you have the Next Generation EU. So the important amount of funds are foreseen to strengthen the network in our team digital innovation hubs. So the aim of Digital Europe program is to set up a new or reinforce the existing digital innovation hubs while kind of paying attention to matching the objectives and the capacities of the supported digital innovation hubs with the priorities of regional smart specialization strategy. Luka Korvat spoke about it, and it builds upon its presentation also, because apart from the ERDF services provided by DICS can be funded by Horizon 2020 Euro program, the Research and Innovation Framework program for the next financial period. So it's foreseen to continue with the activities started in Horizon 2020, directing towards the companies that work together with DICS to experiment and kind of a test with the novel digital solutions to improve their businesses. Also, digital innovation will also be financed by the InvestEU program, that is currently used to mobilize public or private investment using the EU budget guarantee. So it will be used to support digital transformation, especially in technological areas of AI and blockchain. In terms of services provided by digital innovation hubs, we have 4 core services. With the European digitalization innovation hubs, it will be more advanced and supported with different funding, but these are the kind of core elements of the services. So test before invest. It's an experimentation with new digital technologies. It's a software and hardware to understand new opportunities and return on investment, also including demonstration and piloting. Support to find investment. It's access to financial institutions and investors in order to get access to follow-up finance and bring the results of testing and experimentation to the next phase, access to incubation and acceleration programs. Skills and training, very important, making the most out of, let's say, digital innovation, the training programs, boot camps, traineeships, exchange of curricula and training materials. When you say digital upskilling, and it would be in the labor market, in the regions where they operate, so that the client, SMEs, organizations can make the most of digital innovation technologies. Digital innovation hub services could increase advertising, hosting or providing training, short-term advanced digital skills, training courses, you name it. And the last one, innovation ecosystem and networking. Well, when suitable local partners may not be found, the hubs can network with other European digital innovation hubs in the sense of covering whole Europe, and to find a matching partner elsewhere in Europe. So hubs can only become good brokers if they do regular technology scouting. Yeah? In order to map the innovation ecosystem with understanding their needs and opportunities, structural relationship which is needed with regional authorities, industrial clusters, SME association, business development agency, incubators, accelerators, EEN, 8 co-location centers and chambers of commerce will greatly help kind of the brokering function. Yeah? In terms of what does TERA Hub does, in the first phase, we focus on the activities that can significantly improve business with digitalization, such as building sustainable food supply chains through digital transformation of agriculture, which includes, inter alia, when we take into consideration our 15 partners, which are in the consortium, we have 4, let's say, major elements: the use of AI in quality control systems. The consortium of partners are able to provide those following services. So it's personalized nutrition and production, blockchain technologies in certification and labeling of food products, use of GIS and GPS technologies in the development of precision agriculture, use of additive production in order to shorten the time required for product and packaging design. Also, the consortium partners are actually able to provide the services of awareness raising, ecosystem building, scouting, mediation, networking, planning and development of strategy for companies, joint research, concept evaluation, accelerator support, voice of clients. So you have many services that are actually combined and encompass the partnership consortium, and we are kind of pushing forward, looking abroad, looking national, looking regional, what to build up on the future European digital innovation hubs, which is my following topic. So, well, the new initiative for 21-27, you see the numbers and the figures and the areas of high performance computing, cybersecurity and AI with relevant digital skills. Digital Europe program will definitely, let's say, increase the funding and initiatives to set up a network of European digitalization hubs. They will be primarily financed from the Digital Europe program, and thus being the label that gives to the DIS contributing to reach the aims of DEP and receiving fund from it. Yeah, this initiative will provide financial support for the facilities and personnel costs of the EDIH. Also, the EDIH will focus and let's say broad rollout of the latest digital innovations across SMEs and administration. By becoming an EDIH, the DIH will gain knowledge and capacities in technologies such as I mentioned, AI, cybersecurity, advanced digital skills, or public service solutions. The networking of EDIHs will stimulate knowledge transfer, sharing of expertise, reduced application or redundancies by the optimizing investment, but also network will mean promote excellence, develop locally, and export it to the regions across Europe. The first candidates of national DIH were selected at the end of 2020. There's a second round, which is going to start at the beginning of 2020. So TERA is actively looking for the partners to, cover the all angles of the portfolio, so it can apply on this second pre-election call. In terms of the Smart Agri Hub community, or the examples of the platforms which have a pan-European or global, cross-national, cross-sector level, I'm just here in a few slides named a few. We have Smart the Agri Hub community. The project is to realize the digitalization of European agriculture by fostering agriculture innovation system, excellence, sustainability, and success. They are kind of their motivation letters. In terms of the region we are in, it's when we move to this catalog of Smart Agri Hub, you have the Southeast Europe SAE regional cluster, which encompasses digital innovation hubs, competence centers, and flagship innovation experiments in 8 countries. This, let's say, regional cluster seeks to integrate activities and financial support with complementary local and national resources. Yeah, in order to deliver this structure, the regional cluster is building the capacity of regional DIHs to engage in an intensive cooperation with the EU digital agri-food ecosystem. TERA was very much interested in joining these high-impact communities, so at the moment we just registered on the Smart Agri Hub Innovation Portal to access the ecosystem, and currently in the process of applying, as they call it, a competence center to showcasing its technology solutions. This is the first kind of example. We have another one, it's called Demeter. Yeah, it's from the Greek mythology. Demeter's goal, as they say, to lead the digital transformation of Europe's agri-food sector and kind of being a lead component of it. They have, you see, there are 6 objectives, but kind of, let's say, horizontal thing that is kind of, let's say, characteristic to them is kind of using a human, they say, in the loop model that constantly focuses on mixing human knowledge and expertise with digital information. Then they say it's a focusing on interoperability as the main digital enabler, extending the exchange of interoperability across data, services, platforms, machine-to-machine communication, and online intelligence. And also the kind of third horizontal goal is to transforming the sector by building the solution of array of digital technologies, Internet of Things, Earth observation, big data, again AI, and of digital practices, cooperation, mobility, and open innovation. Okay, the third case would be a funding box community. Well, you're probably familiar with. Today, it is kind of widely accepted that the next wave of digital innovation will be deep tech. Yeah? So in this sense, these are the disruptive solutions built around unique, protected, or hard to reproduce technological or scientific advances. Deep tech companies have a strong research base, yeah? So they create value by developing new solutions, not only by disrupting business models. Yeah? So starting up a company can be done quite easily today, thanks to the so-called love money and the national incentives, local incubators, and so on. But it is strategically important in digital is to be able to kind of scale up, build large industry players who dominate the field, including the agri-tech firms. Yeah? DIHnet EU, well, at the moment, there is a vast number of networking activities related to DIH in Europe. So, however many of these initiatives they have limited connections, and between each other, they don't communicate so much, and especially the technologies are different. Yeah? The DIHnet new aims is to supporting these networks and initiatives by creating coordination mechanisms, creating synergies, and addressing common issues. This project is able and going to create a sustainable pan-European network of networks with focus on regional DICs by developing also a set of tools and boosting the collaboration on different networks. Okay, so this was the example 2 of my let's say platforms initiatives that sound very much interesting to me and are probably very well known to you. The third one is DIH World. Well, the mission is to strengthen the capacities of regional DICs, particularly in the underrepresented regions across the EU. Access to harmonized tools, well-proven technologies, effective methodologies, sound knowledge, smart investments resources are kind of reaching the training assets and overall of a vibrant innovation environment. Their kind of final aim is to accelerate the matureness of this and the development of their collaboration capacities and avoid kind of a divide due to lack of access to technology, skills, and networks. Yeah, they have the online catalog of this. You have the EC run and more precisely JRC run platform. This is the kind of last showcase of mine. It's a very interesting platform. The purpose of the catalog is to kind of support networking of digital innovation hubs. Yeah, and to provide an overview of the landscape of digital innovation hubs in Europe, across the Europe, and supported by regional, national, or European initiatives. Doesn't care. All the digital hubs are on that map and on that catalog. Moreover, the JRC in collaboration with the DG Connect is developing a kind of a knowledge and guidance material, case studies, good practice, and more as regards to the roles of DIC in smart specialization strategy, as I mentioned at the beginning. For instance, in Croatia, the S3 is only at its beginning of programming, so in a way, we are looking forward to see the content of it or the first drafts of it if it's going to be put on the public to see. And the last slide, it's more of on let's say, cross kids ATRIS activities. I remember Luca saying 3 elements which are kind of horizontally connected with all aids. It's entrepreneurship, education, it's innovation projects, and business creation acceleration. So these are the elements we can work on. And in terms of the risks, which should be kind of which participation, as Luca said, is below expected, and we saw it in the last few years. And with the keeping in mind that no region will be left behind, I look across to the EIT Digital, which is not only close to this team, but close to many of agri-food affairs in near future. So, for instance, EIT Digital started in 2007, increasingly strengthened the collaboration with other kids through joint activities. Collaborations have taken place in various areas. Example of smart cities with 8 climate kits, digital solution for health and well-being. Well-being should be 8 digital well-being objective is in a close comparison to the 8 food activities in certain areas. So therefore, as a platform for kids interaction and coordination of ATRIS activities, the cross kids ATRIS should function and to ensure efficiency and avoid fragmentation of efforts among kids activities. Yeah, so we are strongly supporting it, and this kind of conference is a way and approaching to it. And in terms of closing remarks, when I look at the examples of the initiatives, platforms, and things that could support the DICs in terms of the agriculture sector, it still stands that 8 food program still is the largest and globally most influential agricultural food initiative, connecting companies, business, universities, research centers in Europe, with a special focus on encouraging innovation and entrepreneurship in the food sector through its programs. So when you reconsider and you reflect on Team Up, 8 Food, Seedbed, Accelerator Network, Test Farms, those are really holistic, comprehensive programs that, to my humble opinion, are still the kind of flagships on how to do business when we talk about digital innovation, smart hubs or digital innovation hubs, and smart hub sectors. Okay, Ivan, that's all from me.
Thank you, Luca. Please stop sharing your presentation. What to tell? It seems that EU supporting infrastructure is so massive, it makes sense to have a support to guide you through supporting instruments. It's really difficult to keep up with all those possibilities, filter them and select the most appropriate one. But let's talk about finances a little bit more. Many great ideas hit the wall of financial limits and never took off. It is great pleasure to have our next speaker with us, Anna of TERA team. Will present the program which works quite well. And here are the details. Anna, the floor is yours.
Hi to all participants. Can you see my presentation?
Yes.
Yes, presentation is in presentation mode, yes.
Okay, so with this presentation, I would like to present entrepreneurial support institutions and programs they offer. TERA has been implementing EU projects since 2008, intending to provide services to SMEs free of charge by financing the provided services through EU programs. We are currently implementing the projects called an advisor for entrepreneurs, with aims to provide the information for SMEs, business consulting for them, and organizing roundtables to connect entrepreneurs with supporting institutions. The project is co-financed by the European Union from the European Regional Development Fund. The role of SMEs is in the coming period is vital, because we expect to work intensively with SMEs to make the most of the opportunities provided by the EU in the period 2021 to 2027. And what are those opportunities? You are probably aware that we started the new programming period of funding from EU funds at the beginning of this year. So we will briefly look at the news related to the new financial framework from this period. The novelty is next generation EU program by providing EU members with an additional source of funding to more easily overcome the crisis that is caused by the COVID-19. This slide is example purely informating comparison of the total EU budget and the funds that is available for Croatia. So we can see that the EU allocated 1,824.3 billion euros, of which 1,074 is for multi-annual financial framework, and 750 billion euros is for that next generation program. 25.5 billion euros is amount that is allocated for Croatia. So in this slide shows I'm sorry, but my presentation doesn't. Okay. My colleague just told me that you don't see other slides, so
okay, you are now on slide 2.
Yes, I don't know why, but okay.
Slide 4.
Okay, is it now? It's okay.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So this slide shows that available amount at the Croatia level is 25.5 billion euros, how I mentioned. And suppose we put this in the context of previous financial period, in the period from 2014 and 2020, we had a total of 10.7 billion euros at our disposal. So while it will be more than twice as much in this new period. In this case, we will have 14.48 billion comes from the multi-annual financial framework, and more 11 billion euros comes from the next generation. And additional, there is a fund 683.7 million. So it's from a solidarity fund, which is fund that should be invested in repairing the consequences of the earthquake. At the beginning of this month, Croatia received the first advance payment through the mechanism for resilience and recovery in the amount of 818.4 million. That is very good news, and that's just a part of the fund amount 9.9 billion euros. So my next slide shows that available amounts at the five targets are defined on the EU level. It's a smarter Europe, a greener Europe, a more connected Europe, and Europe with more prominent social component, and Europe closer to citizens. Croatia is obliged to dedicate at least 35% of the regional development fund allocation to objective one, so to smarter Europe, and 30% to greener Europe. What can be financed from that amount? Tenders should cover energy efficiency, construction and furnishing, digitization, research and development, and investment cycle in general. And the novelty is financial instruments in the form of loans and the guarantees that can be combined with grants. Types of funds and programs. So in principle, EU programs can be grouped into two primary groups: structural funds, which is approved at the level of each member states, and European Union programs focusing on the general objectives of the Union. Applicants from all member states must cooperate in each project with partner applicants from other member states, and that's the main difference. So European programs are numerous, and on this slide you can see the list of each different programs which are specialized in a particular area. For example, Horizon 2020, which is specialized for research and development. Erasmus Plus for education sector. COSME aimed to encouraging development of SMEs and internationalization of business, and Life for environmental protection, Creative Europe for innovation. And more information about all these programs you can find on the structure funds page. This page is a cover page of EU funds in Croatia, and you can find very important information about programs, about active tenders, about annual tender announcement plan, and also you can find projects map with already financed projects. So maybe you can find also here and the inspiration for your project idea. Except this page, which doesn't contain all information that you need, because this page doesn't contain Union's program standards and, for example, tenders for environmental protection. So you should look for other important pages like European Social Fund, then Rural Development site, the Foundation for Civil Society site. Also important links are sites from the Ministry of Economy, Ministry of Tourism, Environmental Protection and Energy Efficiency Fund, Agency for Mobility and the EU programs, and etc. Financing opportunities in entrepreneurships coming from support organizations, and in addition to EU programs, entrepreneurs have access to finance through EU grants, loans, and credits. Important actors for loans in Croatia are Croatian Bank for Reconstruction and Development and Croatian Agency for SME Innovation and Investments. As far as the EU programs are concerned, in addition to funding, the EU offers a number of other opportunities and measures through the project initiatives. TERA is involved in a number of different measures and projects through which it provides support. Some examples are EEN, Enterprise Europe Network, Digital Innovation Hub, CAT for Clean Production, Erasmus for Young Entrepreneurs, Mobilize SME, EIT Food. In this presentation, I will tell more information about Enterprise Europe Network because it is the biggest support structure in Europe, which operates according to the concept one-stop shop, and it's valuable free of charge for SMEs. It contains 600 partners organizations, and they are organized in 92 consortia in more than 54 countries. If you want to ask for support for this network in Croatia, you can find contact points in Osijek, Zagreb, Split, Rijeka, and Varaždin. And which topics are covered by EEN support. You can ask for help in finding new markets, how to use EU funds, if you are looking for business partners abroad or project partners for participating in EU calls. Also, if you need help to sell a new idea or technology, if you need help about intellectual property right and about EU legislation connected with your business. EN can help you to offer your products or services or technology on the EU market and also wider. Another example or EU initiative is CAT for Clean Production Platform, which is also very important because here you can inform about opportunities for transnational collaboration of SMEs with service providers for key enabling technologies across Europe. So on that platform, you can submit technology requests to find technology research centers that matching your needs. To entrepreneurs are also offered mobility programs like Erasmus for Young Entrepreneurs and Mobilize SMEs programs, which aims to help develop the skills and capacity of the company staff as a part of temporary reallocation of employees. Participants can be employees, managers, owners, individuals, and also students. You can participate as a new entrepreneur and go abroad, or you can also host someone in your company without additional costs. With this, I would like to end my presentation. If you have any questions or doubts, I will be at your disposal during the panel. So thank you for attention and sorry because of problems at the beginning of the presentation.
Thank you, Anna. It wasn't a big problem. Presentation was interesting, and if I had doubts that I would need help to find my million out of those thousands of millions, I'm now definitely convinced. It is not so easy to find the most appropriate program, but you have reliable partners. No one is island. Networks like EEN, like EIT are here to help. But from time to time, we have to take a second opinion. We were deep into agri-food troubles, and some people could get carried away with that. Let's see how it looks regarding climate sustainability from climate kick viewpoint. We are intensifying cross-kick cooperation all over Europe, so we do that in Croatia as well. And it is great pleasure to introduce Miljenko on behalf of Climate Kick Hub Croatia and see how they look at sustainability issue of agri-foods from their perspective. Miljenko, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Ivan, and very welcome to all of you, and thanks Ivan for inviting us. I'm going to share a presentation now, so just please tell me whether you see it, Ivan. Is it okay?
Yes, the PowerPoint is in presentation mode.
Okay, thank you. So first of couple of sentences about me. So I'm an assistant managing director in Northwest Croatia Regional Energy Agency, but as well the coordinator of the climate knowledge innovation community in Croatia for now it's been already 3 years since the Climate Kick Croatia hub was actually set up. And you know, there is a lot of things that are in connection in when you talk about climate and you talk about agriculture and agribusiness for sure. And the first couple of my slides is going to show actually not so nice things that we are facing, but I think that most of you here know about these issues, but well, we have to set the scene sometimes. So regarding Croatia, I'm just trying to move my slides. So what we are facing now is that, you know, the climate is changing, of course, I mean, all know that, and Croatia is not an exception here, and we are following basically the trends that are worldwide present. So on this graph on the right side, you can see what is happening with the air temperature on the measuring station Grič in Zagreb in the past 100 years. So you can see that with some minor fluctuations in some periods, the trend is positive, or the trend is basically upwards, as you can see that from 1862 till today, there has been a significant rise of temperature, and it is, when calculated, it's around 1.1 degrees per 100 years of measurement. So this is something to put us into frame locally, because we do know what's happening globally, but this is locally present as well. And now, basically, a little bit what is going to be going on with the temperature in the next couple of decades. So there are models that are showing projections for 2011 to 2040 and from 2040 to 2070. So in the periods up to 2040, we are still, I would say, quite good. I mean, not quite good, but we are not expecting that high temperature rise in Croatia. You can see on the left side that we are expecting 0.6 degrees in the winter periods and 0.1 degree, or 1 degree, not 0.11, but 1 degree in the summer periods. But you can see that the trend is more of heating the Adriatic and mountainous part of Croatia in the summertime. So this is the overall trend in the Adriatic region, that is basically and the Mediterranean region that is present, and we are actually witnessing it every day. For the 2040-2070 periods, we are quite rising. The temperature is quite rising. You can see that in the winter period, for the continental part, the temperature rise is expected to be 2 degrees Celsius and 1.6 in southern parts, but the summer ones are actually the ones that is going to be significant. So up to 2.4 degrees in continental parts, and 3 degrees actually in the coastal parts of Croatia. And by saying this, we can clearly see that a lot of adaptation is going to be needed in all segments of life. And of course, the ones related to agriculture also very specifically, and they're going to be significant and huge. And precipitation-wise, it's not so much that we are expecting bigger fluctuations again in the same projected periods. We are actually expecting some decreases in rainfall in different periods of year, but what is going to be changed is the distribution of the precipitation. I mean, when we make an average on an yearly basis, it's going to be more or less where we are now. But what has happened actually, and what is happening, and we're witnessing it, is that that the pattern of the rainfall and the precipitation in general has significantly changed, and we are expecting more and more extremes. That is going to be the attributes of the climate in the following periods and the following decades. And it's going to ask us all to do a lot of change in how we live and actually what do we do and how we work on a daily basis. So precipitation extremes are something that we are going to be facing, and everything is going to have to adapt to that. These are actually the images that we have been witnessing so far, but it's going to be even more present in our daily lives. So you can see here the effects of extreme weather mostly. So the intense hail, the droughts, the flooding, and of course the fires that are caused by the long-term droughts. These are all the consequences of the climate change, not solely, of course, but what is the thing is that the climate systems are actually very reluctant to change. The changes that are happening are very slow. So what we are going to do today, and what we do today, and trying to bring Europe and basically the world back to the climate neutrality levels, is going to have effects in a couple of hundred of years. So this is not going to change so fast, and we'll have to learn how to live with that. The consequences are actually very visible already now. On this slide, you can actually see that two of the most vulnerable sectors are the agriculture and the tourism, and we all know what agriculture and tourism means for Croatia. This is something that every government and any strategic planners or the planners in general will have to take into account for the next periods, because things are going to change in these sectors, not only in the sectors of agriculture and tourism, but here there are different sectors that are mentioned, like the forestry, the energy sector, the fisheries, but also the catastrophe management and the water resources, because we're going to have problems in each and every sector. You see in this slide, and we are already witnessing it. And I mean, today we are witnessing what is happening with the prices in the energy sector. This is all also highly connected to what is going on with the climate and in the energy sector in Europe and worldwide as well. On this graph on the left, you can actually see something that is quite impactful. So you see here the average annual loss in the economy, which is caused by the climate change. So you can see the increase, which is significant, because you see the period of 1998 to 2013, there was an average of 68, let's call it 70 million a year based losses. But in the period of 2013 to 2018, it risen up to almost 300 million per year. This is on Croatia level only. And this is something that is basically going to only rise, and it's going to be more and more significant. This is an area where a lot of things will need to be improved, and a lot of innovation going to have to happen if we want to learn how to live with it, because this is the only thing we're going to be able to do, learn how to live with it and adapt. This is nothing we can do much more now, because it has gone too far. All in all, basically, what we know is that, you know, you all know, probably are not aware of the Paris Agreement and the latest IPCC reports. What is a fact is that our food systems are not compatible with 1 degrees future. And you know that 1 degree Celsius is something that, you know, Europe is aiming for, not hitting above that. So this is our target, and this is all the politics, all the funding that was mentioned earlier regarding the structural funding, the EU programs funding, and other sources of funding is mainly directed to is to secure that we do not go above 1.5 degrees. The thing is, basically what we do with our food and the business related to agriculture is that it is currently not compatible with this future. So just a couple of the examples is that, you know, whether it's the widespread usage of plastics in packaging, the high levels of food waste, which Croatia has significant amounts, high meat diets, our habits. This is something that is that we'll have to work a lot on. And the fact that the farming sector actually alone accounts for approximately 1/3 of global greenhouse gas emissions, which is huge. I mean, my agency and what we do is primarily doing and working on the energy efficiency in the sectors, in the building sector and the urban mobility or transport sector, call it like that. But I think that we all are going to have to pay much more attention also to the agricultural sector, and how can we work on together to basically decrease the overall trend in greenhouse gas emissions from the farming sector and everything that is related to the value chains of the sector itself. So basically what is needed is to reform the food system, and as I said earlier, we'll have to adapt to the changes that already started, because they are happening, and they are not so fast to change back because the systems are inert. And we are going to need a lot of innovation. We're going to need the innovation in all the areas I have stated below. So from food production to the distribution, so local value chains will have to be more and more present. Consumption, of course, which is highly connected and related to the habits, our personal habits, and how we act, what do we consume, what do we prefer, but also related to the metrics, because, you know, we have so far been, you know, measuring things up to certain metrics and up to with the certain types of parameters, but I think that a lot of things will have to change also in the metrics, because we'll have to see it, and, you know, just from the different angles. But maybe and probably the most challenging parts will be the policies, because all of us probably around the table are quite aware of what needs to be done and how we would like to do it, but we'll have a challenge in basically convincing the policymakers, working together with them to put in place the proper policies to enable all the innovation to happen. Because from our work in the climate kick in Croatia so far, we have realized that we have to do and work a lot on regulation and policy issues on all levels, starting from a local and regional governance level to the national levels, but also to the EU levels, because you can always find an obstacle in the policy, in a document or somewhere that will basically disable it to run any kind of innovation action. So this is something that will have to work. But we'll have to work together. I think several times already today it was mentioned that the cross-KIC collaborations are essential to do more, to do it faster, and to draw out the synergies. And we actually are very keen to start work more with each KIC that is set up in Croatia, and there is, I think, seven or eight of them already now, especially with the EIT food, because as I already mentioned, there is a huge contribution from the food and agribusiness to the climate change as well. This is my last slide. This is just a little bit about the Climate KIC Hub in Croatia. We were set up in 2018, and of course it was an open call. But our vision was basically immediately to set up and of course run a platform for cooperation for innovation in climate change. And right from the beginning, we realized that the approach needs to be systemic. For us, systemic means that we would like to connect the problem owners with solution providers. Those are different actors on both sides. So for problem owners to solution providers, but also with high engagement of decision makers and policy setters for obvious reasons. What we have done so far, we have of course had many projects with different partners, but something I want to mention is that we have run different programs, and those are, for instance, climatons, which are basically hackathons for climate, where we go and set up a challenge. I don't know, the different ones, the challenge owners can be different. We usually had cities as challenge owners. You know, they wanted something to be solved related to climate, and then we organized a team of mentors and how hackathons work, of course. But what is the case that we were actually trying to connect them with other programs we have, but also to provide mentorship further down the line. So the climatons, and you know, coming up with an idea for something, we were nurturing that to a final product. We had so-called program pioneers into practice, which is still running, but a bit different now. So far, it was basically an exchange of professionals related to climate change. So people were going to different institutions, from one institution to another institution, to work on a problem that the institution had, basically to have a kind of a different approach outside of the box. And that came up to be quite useful for people, because they have learned how other sectors work, how can they use their knowledge in other sectors, but it also helped the institutions that were hosting the pioneers, because they had a third-eye view. Now we have refined it a bit, but I'm not going to talk about it due to the sake of time. We also, from the beginning, have run the green tech accelerators. So we were supporting startups in green tech and clean tech and related to climate. Also we tried to basically do the same for the cities. So we had green city accelerators, where we were supporting cities to design projects and actions that are climate related with the team of experts. That also proved to be very useful for them, but also to us, because we learned what specific needs do cities and city officials have in relation to climate change mitigation and adaptations. So as I already mentioned, we are also strongly supporting the Cross KIC initiative, because we see it as a very beneficial to all of us. And I think that we are going to work more on the agriculture and food system because of the obvious reasons that are present. And what I see, this is a message also to Ivan and everybody, is that we can also connect our programs with you guys, because I think that among the audience, there are a lot of solution providers for the problems different actors in the ecosystem of Croatia have. So so anybody, please, just, this is us. This is the composition of the hub. So it's TERA Hub, it's Green Energy Cooperative, is the University of Zagreb as an anchor point for different faculties that we are working on. It's the consultancy company Mreža Znanja, and it's us from Regija. We are an energy agency, actually soon to be an energy and climate agency. So you have my contact here, but Ivan also has it. And if anybody has any ideas for cooperation, anything to ask or share, just be free and don't hesitate to do so. Thank you.
Thank you, Miljenko. In the meantime, we have a change in schedule with one of our speakers. So I have to ask Augustas and Victoria, do they agree to reschedule Anna as the next speaker so she could deliver presentation as planned? Otherwise, we are losing one speaker in the end. So Augustas, Victoria?
On my side, it's fine. I will just have to disconnect at 2 CET time, but yeah, we are fitting to the table, so it's okay.
Okay, thank you so much. Victoria?
I'm here.
Can we reschedule Anna as a next speaker so she can still present her presentation?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, thank you so much. Anna, the floor is yours.
Great.
Keep the schedule as tight as possible, please.
I will. Thank you so much for this opportunity and rescheduling the speeches. So I will share my screen now, and please let me know if you can see it. So this is full screen mode. Just a second. Okay, everything visible?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, great. Okay. Thank you so much for inviting us here. I'm really pleased to be part of this event, especially because it's a cross-border and a cross-KIC Awareness Day, which is really good. I'm here in front of the EIT Food Hub from Serbia, and my name is Anna, as you already know. And today we're going to focus a little bit on this, of course, the major topic on how to facilitate innovative startups in agribusiness, but in the terms of tech versus entrepreneurial skills, actually tech versus business, and what we have come up to until now. So as I actually said already, I come from the EIT Food Hub from Serbia, but I'm actually over there an entrepreneurship coordinator, entrepreneurship development coordinator. We organize programs for our startups. And I actually come from Startit, which is the name that our community knows us from. And Startit is actually the name of our centers because we have 7 different centers in Serbia, because we try to decentralize our organization and to reach out to the whole Serbia and to be more close to the local communities. So we have 2 main pillars. One is developing IT community and gathering it together, and the second, our main pillar, is actually entrepreneurship and supporting this community here in Serbia. So we actually do that through various activities. I mentioned the hubs. We have 7 hubs in Serbia where we do our activities, actually workshops, meetups, programs, and so on and so on. And we started actually 12 years ago, and we started to develop this entrepreneurship community in Serbia when startup as a word was not known to the Serbia population at all. So we developed with this community also. And last 8 years, we actually have our accelerator program, which is the oldest accelerator program there is in Serbia. So the first acceleration that happened in Serbia happened in Startit. And we were one of the first Google for Startups hubs, actually centers in this part of the Europe. So during the year, we work with around 50 startups in different fields and activating them and involving them in different activities. So this year we had our accelerator program, which was 3 months long, and we worked with each startup individually, one-on-one, and then connecting them with different mentors and based on the needs they have. And from the 10 startups we had in our accelerator program this year, 2 of them were actually from this agriculture field. So, which is not a small number. Actually, this is the only field that happens twice in our program. So actually, Serbia is really focused on agriculture. We really need to say that Serbia has agriculture at the heart of country's economy, And by it, it's also connected with the EU as the main trade center. So, which is actually pretty convenient when we started our connection with the EIT. So I think we already mentioned, actually our previous speakers already mentioned, how does EIT Food respond to the biggest food challenges in general, and it can be placed in Serbia too. So EIT will transform the food system by achieving these 6 main strategic objectives. And we are actually focusing on the main objectives we are focusing is actually education, this entrepreneurial mindset, and improving and entrepreneurship. So in line with that, it was actually pretty happened pretty organically that we started our collaboration with EIT Food. And 2019 we started our first activities with EIT Food, and 2020 we are an EIT Food Hub for Serbia and our main contact. So by starting this collaboration and being the first contact point for the EIT, but also for new innovation and entrepreneurship in Serbia in this field, we have seen some of the challenges that our startups are actually facing. And first of them was actually innovation versus tradition. So our startup had really big challenges to this really traditional field to make it more digitalized and innovative, because our traditional players were pretty still not so open for innovation. So the role of EIT here was really big, because when we see some of the startups and some of the scale-ups actually that were part of our programs and part of our community and our network here that we developed, for example, Agremo, which is the most powerful field analytics software for this for agriculture, they could have not done it if they didn't have somebody behind them, because it's different when one team of I don't know, a couple of people comes to a big player and say, hey, we have a solution, an innovative solution for you, which is revolutionizing one part of their food chain. And it's totally different when they have EIT Food Hub and EIT Food behind them. Actually, EIT by itself, they react differently, and it makes really a difference in this part. And then one of the challenges that we actually discovered by working with startups is actually this part of tech versus business, actually their technological skills versus their business skills. And I'm sure most of you who are actually working with startups can agree. But we're looking here also the Serbian part and how our startups are actually developing, and we really do have really good technical universities, and mostly the teams are really capable of developing the technical solution they're developing, but they're lacking these business skills. And by it, we really focus on developing activities that are going to help them develop their skills, and maybe to try to find some other members to be their missing pieces of teams, so that they can scale even more. And we did that actually through interviews with some of the teams that we work with, but not only interviews, but also surveys, to know actually what are their needs, what are the skills they're lacking, and what we can offer them. So the majority actually of them are mostly lacking B2B sales skills. And that's why with last year, that was the end of last year, our focus was to help them develop those skills. So we organized a couple of B2B sales workshops where they could actually create their sales message with the expert that we have in our network, but also together with Google for Startups and so on. So really good experts we brought to help them create the sales messages, create the sales funnel, and then with our network that it's really specific in the EIT is actually to bring the key partners together and then help them to present their idea and in the end also to fundraise and scale up their business. So one of the things that is actually here also important when we're talking about the tech versus business are the STEM faculties. And also I really liked EFKA's addition to STEM, like these extra 2 E's, because in the last 1.5 years, we're really trying to develop that even more. And we started to go and to approach technical universities directly and to offer them entrepreneurship courses where they can develop these skills that they need for development of their innovative solutions. So we started already with the technical university, and we're right now continuing with the mechanical universities. And we have a plan for next 4 years to go and to offer a startup actually entrepreneurship courses at the university, so they can really be part of their curricular. So they are really part of their program, their university program. So in case any of you has some questions referring that, we can please feel free to approach me and we can share our experiences with the academia and offering official courses for the university students to add this knowledge on their technical knowledge. And right now we're actually facing one other challenge, which is making innovation more relevant for consumers. That's the thing that we are focusing on right now, because we realize that that is one of the topics that needs to be covered. And so we developed our EIT food plan for this year and are going to continue to develop it based on those experiences with our startups and the reaction on the market. And we already mentioned actually challenge labs in these keynote speakers, but we're next year we're starting our challenge labs, which is going to be around a month long program where teams are going to actually solve some of the challenges that with communication with this industry are actually needed to be solved in Serbia. So I'm really excited to follow that program and to share the experiences from this program. But when we also mention this challenge, we also are organizing workshops for the startups. What does your user say to focus on this challenge also? And to bring them together with their consumers in a form of speed dating, so they can get more relevant actually reaction for them, what they actually need and what needs to be solved. So thank you so much for your time and for this opportunity. And I'm really sure by these gatherings and connections through the hubs and innovation communities, we can really create the future of food together, but not only food, but of innovation together. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Anna. We have 2 more speakers and panel. If you are concerned about your timetable, I could reassure you, don't you worry about that. I am pretty confident we would finish as planned sometime 2 p.m. a couple minutes later, because we would compress our panel. And by saying that, I'm giving the floor to our next speaker, Augustas Aleciunas, with practical experience of deep tech agri-food projects. Augustas, are you with us? Okay, it seems Augustas is not with us. I don't see anything in the chat box. So I would propose that we do one more rescheduling and introduce our next speaker, Victoria Parag of Campden, BRI. Victoria? Oh, great, you are with us. Oh, I just figured out my camera is off. Sorry for that. Victoria, Augustas is not with us right now, so the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you. Can you see my screen now?
Yes, it's in presentation mode. Go ahead.
Great, thank you. Good afternoon. I am very pleased to be here today and tell you a few words about our work at Campden BRI Hungary as the Hungarian EIT Food HUB on fostering of innovative thinking in Hungary. My name is Victoria Parag. I work as a development engineer at Campden, and I am responsible mostly for projects and different tasks related to the digitization in the food processing. Campden BRI as Hungarian EIT Food HUB defined 4 focus areas for 2021. These main topics of our current activities are the digitization in the food chain, the promotion and support for consumers to maintain a healthy diet, the shortage of skilled labor in agri-food, and the new legislation on the use of single-use plastics. Today, I would like to highlight the importance of the first one and show you some examples on how we create awareness towards the opportunities provided by the digitization technologies. The strategy and regional action plan of Campden are based on the exploitation of the synergy of the complementary activities of Campden as the Hungarian EIT Food HUB and as an EIT Food Network partner. This is enabled by Campden's regular participation in several European and national research and innovation projects. So Campden is an active player in the food industry research and innovation networks. I can mention, for example, Smart Chain, S3 Food, and the GLOPAC H2020 projects, for example, and the IFSILA project. It is funded by the EIT Digital and the Pro4Bake EIT Food project as well. Let me give you a short overview of our activities. In June, we have organized an awareness day. Its topic was the application of AI and digital twin-based solutions for challenges in food processing. The invited expert speakers gave an insight into the opportunities and limitations of these technologies and about the related practical aspects. In September, a summer school was held for students and fresh graduates. This autumn, we will have another event for students in collaboration with the Hungarian Dietetic Association, the Budapest Business School, the University of Debrecen, and the Semmelweis University. We will organize the nutrition and health system skills for promotion and serving healthy diet for consumer training and workshop. The course will help participants to have a better understanding of the topics of nutrition and health system within the large area of the agri-food system. This program has 2 parts. A webinar, it will be online available before the workshop from the middle of October, so it will be available soon. And the face-to-face workshop at the Budapest Business School on the 18th of November 2021. The EIT food programs and opportunities for SMEs, small businesses, startups, and students were introduced by Campden on the Smart Change First Expo and Conference in Hungary for the short food supply chains at the National Center for Biodiversity and Chain Conservation in Gödöllő on the 25th of June. On the 11th of November, we will have the second Awareness Day. This Awareness Day is connected to the Open Day of Campden and the GLOPAC H2020 final conference, as the topic of the day is the response of the food businesses to the new legislation on the use of single-use plastic. And in the afternoon, the opportunities offered by the EIT Food and the Hungarian Hub in 2021 and 2022 will be presented as well. Several additional activities could be listed in projects. Campden is mentoring two teams in EIT Food Digit project. We participate in the mentioned Pro4Bake project and in the EIT Food Risk Professional Development project, in EIT Consumer Engagement Lab project as well. And as the EIT Food Network partner, Campden is involved as an associate partner of the Eötvös Loránd University in a local EIT funded project proposal, the EIT's AGI initiative, Innovation Capacity Building for Higher Education. And now let me tell you a few words about some of our most important activities related to the support of digitization in the food chain. So, as you probably know and know from your experience, one of the main hurdles of the digital transformation of the food processing is the lack of knowledge and skills related to the use of digital technologies, especially in the case of SMEs. Campden aims to provide support for the industry in this regard and create awareness. One of the tools is the education. In September, we organized a one-week-long summer school in collaboration with Eötvös Loránd University and the Hungarian Industry 4.0 platform for students with related studies of food chain and fresh graduates. The participants could enhance also their opportunities in the labor market by the completion of the course. The material of the course contains the explanation of the methodology, opportunities, and implementation of digital data management in food processing, as well as the consideration of food industry specific requirements like food safety, hygiene, legal requirements, etc. And also the important aspects of all of these were illustrated with practical examples and use cases. This is another program for students. Digit program is a hackathon-like competition for university students, but in contrast to the traditional hackathons, the teams have 1 year to develop their ideas. The students are working on real industrial problems identified by partners with the tools of digitization and Industry 4.0. From Hungary, 2 teams are now in the competition from the University of Szeged, and they are mentored by Campden. This competition ends at the end of November 2021, so we are really excited about the results, so fingers crossed for our teams. And this is my last example. It is the Pro4Bake project. Most bakery products stale if not sold on the day of baking, and this results in a huge waste of raw material and energy consumption. The Pro4Bake project aims to develop a computational tool for bakeries to decrease food waste and energy consumption, and of course, costs. It is a two-year project from January 2020 to December 2021, but due to the COVID crisis, it has been extended to May, so it is an ongoing project now. In the project, the consortium develops develops a computational tool for bakeries for the better scheduling the production plan and for the prediction of the actual daily consumer demand. In the development process of this computational tool, customers and consumers of 7 countries are involved in the co-creation process. The application of the tool will bring a range of benefits for the SME bakeries. According to the estimation, it will enable the reduction of energy consumption by 10%, food waste by 5%, the increase in the production capacity without investment by 20%, and it will enhance the digital culture in the food processing as well. In 2020, the project has been nominated for EIT Innovators Award by EIT Food, so we were really proud of it. Thank you very much for your kind attention. You can ask your questions if you have, and you can also contact my colleagues if you have further questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Victoria. And we are now just one presentation before our panel. I hope Augustus will not grow any bad feelings for rescheduling twice. I will tell we saved the best for the last. Augustus, your presentation is in presentation mode. You are good to go. The floor is yours.
Thank you so much. Once again, pleasure to be here. I'm always happy to talk in the EIT Food and Cross-KIC community, but today really delighted because I'm always feeling positive sentiments about the Balkans. And since we are operating there as well, so once again, hello to the colleagues. And since will be the last one today before the discussion, I'll try to be on the time frame and the agenda, and I'll look a little bit more from a business perspective, more globally. But just before, a short info about who we are, who I am. So EIT 21 is my founded company in 2008, and we operate the main offices in the Vilnius, Lithuania. So we are kind of Baltic states company. In the Baltics, I would say that we are the biggest digital technologies for the agri-food industry production house by combining different disciplines. We are coming with the innovative solutions. And talking about the management of the company, it's kind of not the standard model, because from those 75 people over, only a few people working in the administration. So it means that the majority of the staff, they are engineers, scientists, agronomists, chemists, biochemists. And what we do, we come up with the technologies, innovative solutions, and whether we sell the IP to the corporates or we bring the products to the market using the distributors network and our partners network. So we are never the first hand on the market, but we are that back office which actually does the technologies. And talking about the EIT, so EIT 21 is only one company in the Baltic states, which is the core partner in the EIT Food. But talking about the memberships as well, we are the members and the founders of Agri-Food Lithuania Digital Innovation Hub, which operates as well as EIT Food HUB in Lithuania. And Agri-Food Lithuania is also the coordinator of the EDIH consortium, which of course, as most of here people are waiting for the call in the commission. And the interesting fact is that GRS, they named us, the policymakers, they named us among top 2, the best performing digital innovation hubs, sectorial ones, in the entire European Union, out of about 1,000 digital innovation hubs. Plus, all the other ecosystems we are involved proactively, taking the IOF, smart agri hubs, and etc., etc. So this is who we are. And now getting back to the topic, as I said, I promised I'm going to be more global. So I think that there are so many negative things about the COVID, coronavirus, call it as you like, but for the agri-food industry, it was a blooming year, in my opinion. And at the beginning, the world invented a red button, which is called Stop the World, Shut Down the World. And it happened. I think that 3 years back from now, nobody believed that we actually can shut down entire logistics, travelings, and physical communication in between us. And even as today, we are talking online, right? But then we realized that for the agri-food, the supply chain is really vulnerable, which we all know perfectly because we are the specialists of the industry. And the word digitalization actually started to be used, because if we would talk about 3 years back and more, digitalization as it was not that commonly used word or the definition. We were talking about high added value, innovative solutions, high tech, ICT, but now everything is merged, and every single day we are talking about digitalization. And now the second hype is coming to the sustainability. So technologically wise and ecosystem wise, not talking about the negative factors, but this is really good boost up for this industry, and people, you know, got the point that a lot of disruptive changes, social, economical, and geographical, has to be made. Only one slide talking about the numbers, but I think it's really important to understand the positive outcome about what I'm talking to, is that if we would take entire investments to the agri-food technology sector within the past decade, so I'm talking about 2010, 2019-ish, 1920, in total, the startups and technology developers, they have raised about $44 billion, or about 39 billion euro. But the funny thing is that if we are talking about 2020, the year of the COVID-19, if we would calculate up the 3 quarters of the last year, the entire investments were already about $10 billion, which to calculate is about 23-25% of entire decade what was accumulated before. And this was a really interesting trigger to me to analyze how the market and the world shifts. But when I took the statistic of 2021, I came up with the facts, and these are kind of, you know, official public numbers, that only within the January of 2021, the investments into the agri-food tech were about 11 billion. So in total, per a month, the industry accumulated about 25% of the decade. So this is how it's booming up. And this is the positive side. I'm going to continue on the negative ones as well. But if you wrap up with the conclusions and the overview world arena, what's happening? So why? Because the startups, they started to be filtered, and the ones who became more matured in a way, and they already were prepared to scale up, they've joined to the mega rounds. So the mega rounds started last year for the agri-food industry, and mega round by the definition is the investment tranche or a batch, which is more than 100 million euro. So the companies who are strong and actually bringing the value, they are becoming big. Those who are, you know, on a vegetation phase for 5 years or so, they remain there or they shut down the activity itself. And the sad thing, not talking about the food, but about the agri or the agro, is that from all that pie, which I just introduced to you, it's only about the 7% of all the funding and the investments goes to the agri-tech. So when we are talking about the agri-food, the numbers are really attractive. When we are talking about the food tech, it's booming. When we are going to the agri, the primary production, it's bad. And there are many, many different kind of, you know, possibilities why it's happening. So I will try to pinpoint those on which I believe. And I think that in general, even though those money for the agri-food, it's being, you know, thrown to the market and floating in big numbers, percentage-wise, it's hundreds of percent. Increased the last year versus the last decade. I think that the gray area, or I like to call it the death valley, it still exists, which means that the majority of those funds and monies, they will be burned. Why? Because still, specifically in the agri-food industry, there is kind of a gap in between the technology developers and providers and those who are going to use the technologies. And since me, myself, I operate for the past 7 years as the business angel, and I've done serious rounds of investments. Of course, you know, a lot of companies and startups and young teams are coming to us to talk. And I see that most of them, you know, they're trying to solve one or another problem, which they think is in the market. But when I'm asking them with how many of the farmers or how many of the food processing companies you have spoken to, they said, yeah, you know, it's not the right time. We are still working on the development. And this is the biggest problem, because the gap is there. And there is lack of communication in between those who are building up technologies and those who are going to adopt technologies. So initiatives as EIT in general, or EIT Food as the division, I think these are one of the enablers which will be able to help and to tackle the environment and industry to talk more. Because we need those conversations and we need to understand what to do in order to someone to buy it. So this is crucial in my opinion. And the other thing why agri-food technologies are kind of complicated if we would compare with a fintech or an ergotech is that the culture of food consumption of the, different kind of crops, cattle, and any kind of livestock products, they differs in between the regions. So it's way more complicated to scale up technology worldwide than, for example, in the other industries. Even taking the same Europe, it's kind of the union is the same, but the north of Europe, we are having one type of habits. That's how we are consuming the food products and what we rely on, if to compare with the south. I think I should be born in the south. Well, unfortunately, I'm Lithuanian. But it's scalability is an issue. And the business models has to come up in order to facilitate possibilities to scale up really rapidly. That's why the majority of the startups and successful startups in the agri-food industry coming from the USA, because it's more centralized and they are being counted as the country. We are, counted as the region with many countries, many interests, and many, habitats, what we are having in our life. And the last thing from this perspective is I think it's really important to talk about two things, but we need to find the balance on the scales, because from one side, we as a society members, as the consumers, we are always shouting out loud that now it's a time to be sustainable, to be environmentally friendly. We want to eat organic. We want to know that the companies which does the food manufacturing, they are sustainable and friendly or even carbon neutral to the environment. But those who are, growing the food or processing the food, they are the businessmen, whether it's a farmer or it's a big corporate. And at the end of the day, they're still thinking how to get the financial outcome, the positive outcome, or simply profit. And so it's kind of still not leveraged properly, because we are talking about you have to be sustainable. The industry is thinking about how to be financially sustainable, and there has to be a dialogue. And there has to be a dialogue which would be enabling, let's say, the ecosystem or the agreement that if we want to be sustainable and we want to be organic, we need to understand that we need to pay more. We need to cover it up, and this has to come up from the society. It cannot be just, thrown to the industry by being said that you have to do this and that. So I think the balance, it's coming. It's still not there, and that's why adoption of new technologies is not that sufficient, because some of them, the new tech, really helps to be environmental friendly and sustainable, but financially wise, they are still too expensive, too complicated to cash out the profit or cash out the added value in the business processes itself. And to conclude, and I think I'm good on time, is my opinion is that, as I said before, we need to think about whether to build the new ecosystems. And this is today's, event. It's really good one, because I've heard talking digital innovation hubs. I've heard talking EIT Food Hubs and other system players. So I think we should kind of invite all of us to take this responsibility to grow the ecosystem as the EIT, as the DICs, as whatever else, and to be that, bridge to cover up the gap in between the tech developers, the science, and the industry itself. And those new business modeling supposed to come up from our ecosystem, and then they should supposed to be introduced to the governance, to the policymakers, and of course to the society and the businesses itself. So these are a few of my remarks. Once again, thanks so much for the invitation. If I will manage, I will join the discussion at least for a while. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure to be here.
Thank you, Augustas. And by having you as a speaker, we completed our second block of presentation.